Paris and Madrid, can we call it a surprise then?
A little bit, because we all predicted to go the other way, no?
But I felt so bad after the podcast because I had one idea.
Me too.
I think that Paris has more chances to beat Madrid in Madrid than beating Zvezda. Zvezda advanced to the second stage of the play and they play together against each other in Paris. And I thought that it's very possible, that Paris will advance as a 7th seed and Madrid, after losing the game, they could advance as well from the 8th seed. But, I forgot to say that. Maybe the flow was not for that thought. And I'm like watching that game, I'm like, it's not like I'm surprised to see Paris winning that game. But I have to say I'm super happy that Paris advanced. I mean, it's just a pure joy watching their season, their journey, their game, their style, their philosophy. Second lowest EuroLeague budget. They kind of showed the way how you can beat those powerhouses, those rich clubs, a lot of personalities from TJ Shores to Hiffy to a lot of other great role players. That's just a huge win, and they fully deserve to be in the playoffs. And I'm happy that Paris advanced.
I'm sorry I doubted you, Paris, for this one game, but from now on, I'm predicting you a serious win in the quarterfinals. But wait. We'll get to that in the next clip. Don't worry about that.
Nice.
Don't worry about that. But no, let's just talking about this game. Jokes aside, I think this showed how the right system, great coaching can get you results against a team who just relies on their talent. And we saw from Madrid what we saw basically from them in every second game this season. Poor habits and just relying on their talents, on their energy on the court. You cannot say they did not fight. They did. They tried to come back 2 times in this game, I think, at least in the second half. But Paris just seemed to know what to do in every situation, basically. There is Tavares drop. Okay, TJ Shores can make mid-range shots. Kavarius Hayes was great rolling to the rim, had some alley-oops. Kratzer comes in. He was phenomenal as a role player. He set so many Gortat screens in the paint. Like Tavares' impact right there in the paint as a defensive player of the year was not felt as much because of the foul trouble and because of all the great Gortat screens Kratzer set, in the second half. Like Madrid tried to deploy zone defense in the second half. Thiago Splitter calls a great timeout in the third quarter when Madrid gets the momentum. And TJ Shores gets one screen. He's running at Tavares in the paint. Boom, Kratzer in the dunker spot, runs in, Gortat screen to Tavares. TJ Shores makes 2-1, stops the first run. Then they had some pick and pops with Janssenen in the end. That was huge. And it just seemed to me that another example of how Paris just knows what to do in every game, executes it perfectly, does it 100%. And for them, from my perspective, this game meant way more than for Madrid. It's just, from what I saw in the first half, they had this sense of urgency. They had this collectiveness. They had this, feeling of we can achieve something great that we have never done before as a team and as individuals. And for Madrid, it was like, that's just a playing game, Yeah, we need to win, but we have won EuroLeague, and it was not the same. It was not the same.
Is the word. Paris was so focused. When you watch Madrid, they're focused on referees, complaining and all that stuff.
They're focused on their own shots. They were focused on their own shots.
They were forcing some ISO plays, ISO situations, playing one by one too much. When the ball was moving, and there were some real amazing stretches, basically sparked by Facundo Campasso. I mean, he was doing a phenomenal job, and I was missing him having a ball in his hands more in the fourth quarter when Ralt tried to make a comeback. But there was just too much, selfish effort from all of these guys, not sharing the ball, trying to decide everything by themselves. So that's a good thought that you said. The focus was so different.
I just couldn't look at how they're playing. Like Janan Musa forcing his own shots, the teammates wide open, screaming for the ball, for the kickouts. He's just shooting the ball. Mario Hezonja, every time he catches it, he shoots it.
I mean,
Which is
Lul,
okay.
Yuri Dek, I mean,
Yeah.
like too many guys were playing the same way, and it went bad.
Like you said, there were glimpses where they were moving the ball, but then in those situations where they got wide open shots, they couldn't just make those. And they shot in general 7 of 27 from 3. I think this was one of the biggest things that were a factor here, because when Paris basketball created an open shot, they capitalized on it. When Real Madrid did that, they couldn't. So that's number one. Number two that you haven't mentioned yet was Real's defense. That I was just every single time some kind of a pick and roll action is happening, or off ball, there's a guy off ball over helping, and you see wide open Paris basketball players every single time. And I just thought too many mistakes in a crucial play, and we'll come back to focus here. Real Madrid wasn't focused defensively, number one, in my opinion, in this game. So yeah, this was my main.
You mentioned those shots. There was one shot that could have changed everything. 4 minutes to play, Real down by 1. Gabriel Deck completely wide open. Mm-hmm. He missed that shot, and then in the other end, you're getting Jantunen, a pick and pop play. Then he drew a charge from Mario Hezonja, amazing defensive read that Jantunen made, and basically 2 possessions later, Jantunen is hitting that corner 3 that basically kills Real Madrid. So. And it's good you mentioned those centers. I mean, everybody speaks about TJ Shorts, Hiffy. By the way, Hiffy was amazing, making those shots when it mattered in the first half, in the fourth quarter. And I was shocked that he's actually the first 22 or younger player since Luka Doncic who averaged 14 points in the EuroLeague, especially in the round-robin era. Wow. Nobody did that at that age. So he was phenomenal. But, I mean, guys like Kratzer, Kevarius Hayes, they create from 10 to 15 points on a nightly basis for TG Shorts and for others. So I really advise all those young kids or just centers everywhere in every league, EuroLeague, Eurocup, BCL, domestic leagues, just watch the way those centers are utilized, how many points they create just from good screens, from sealing, and doing all this off-ball stuff. It's inspirational.
Yeah. Just a couple of more thoughts. Why was Garuba in there to defend TJ Shorts directly at the end of the second quarter? I did not understand that. Paris was like, okay, we spread out. TJ went to work. He broke the ankles on a drive to the rim. Garuba was limping to the locker room in the second half. And you mentioned Nadir Hifi, but the degree of difficulty of his shots are just insane. He made the shot in the second half, in the second quarter, and he made the shot in the fourth quarter over Yui, which was attacked throughout the entire night by Paris, their game plan once again. But even after those 2 ridiculous shots of Hifi, you can see that Paris's bench, his own teammates that have seen those shots for the entire season and even crazier ones, they were like, shit, what the hell is this guy like there? Wow. The bench is like that, and I'm like, okay, if the teammates are reacting like this, then it's really special, and he made some important shots, and Madrid just couldn't reply on a bit easier ones, I would say.
So what's your prediction for Friday? Bayern Munich against Real Madrid. The winner
no papers here.
Advances and plays Olympiacos.
I hope Bayern advances, but my guess is Madrid.
Yeah, again, Bayern reminds me of Paris. They really deserve the playoff spot. And I think that they can improve from the Zvezda game. Carson Edwards had a really tough night. Shot selection that you mentioned, huge turnovers, allowing Felipe Petrushев to get that open layup to close the regulation. Or in the end of the overtime, the very last minute, he turned the ball over at the midcourt. And despite making this potentially game winner in the fourth quarter or overtime, I mean, it was a really tough shot. So I expect him to bounce back and be way better. And he can bring you 30 points on any given night. And the opposite, you mentioned, he couldn't play against Zvezda's defense. He played only 13 minutes. He can be better. There's Shabazz Napier as well, 13 minutes. It's hard to expect this greatness from Nick Weiler-Babb. You can expect Devin Booker's physicality, which is huge. So they still have something, to improve their game. But I mean, I'm just still living in this world where Madrid is too good for me. They are playing at home. They have this experience, and maybe now finally they're gonna be focused on the right things. They have enough talent. They're playing at home, so I don't know. My
let's say
my
So,
brain
who you
says
going
it's
with?
Madrid.
Okay. So I'll be
Madrid
the
is a
only...
mediocre team. Let's say that this season they're not a top tier team this season.
True, but I mean,
But winning in Madrid is hard, and just Bayern did not have many wins away this season. I believe Andy Ops is going to have a bigger night. That's for sure. But I don't know.
I see
don't
potential
know.
for Bayern to win that game, actually.
Yeah, for
but
sure,
still,
for
I cannot
sure.
overcome myself saying that Madrid will be out. I mean, it's so
I'll
weird.
go against the grain. I'll say that Bayern will win this game because
My guy.
I think, to be honest, like we said, similar matchup as Paris was to Real, a bit less consistent maybe, but also they have some other weapons. Like Devin Booker is the best big man between Paris and Bayern. If you take both teams, there's nobody better than Devin Booker, and Bayern has Devin Booker who will be able to take Tavares out of the paint, Ibaka out of the paint, because he can shoot the three-pointer. And I just think they have some weapons. Obviously, like you said, they'll need a better game from Carson Edwards, a bit more better shooting. And they played 2 games this season, obviously, split both, and the home team won in each, but just now, Real lost at home against Paris when they've won the previous game at home against Paris just a week before that. So I'll go with Bayern as my guess, and we'll see.
What do you think Olympiacos want
Ooh,
from this game?
obviously it's Bayern Munich.
They want Gittes' choice to be correct.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a watch party on Friday, and I believe that Olympiacos guys might also have some kind of a watch party rooting for Reds that night.
Yeah, you don't want Real Madrid as your gift for winning the regular season.
Although they might be mediocre, but not for the playoff
Olympiacos
series.
in the last month are not a first seed. They're not playing like the first seed either. So
It actually could make a craziest
And that would
first
be
and 8th seed matchup in the playoff
that would
history,
be
I
the
guess.
semi-final of last year of the Final Four, correct?
and the rematch of the final 2 years ago.
Yeah.